Hi friend, today's pick a card reading is all about what you need to hear. So we are going for positive, uplifting messages, but whatever comes out, comes out. Today I chose 3 different decks and some buttons. I just felt like doing something a little bit different today. So here we have, the first one is a very fancy like little crystal button. And I'm just going to cut the deck and give you a glance at what the deck looks like. Ooh, we have the Ace of Cups. And this is what this deck's illustration looks like. So that is group 1. Group 2, this is your button. And let me just cut the deck, give you an idea of what the deck looks like. We have the Queen of Coins. Very beautiful energies coming out immediately. And then group number 3, your button. It's tiny. It's tiny but shiny. It's like a little pearly button. Natural pearl button. And let's cut the deck. We have another Ace of Cups. Okay, I'm loving these vibes for all 3 of them because this is what we're going for. I am shooting for whatever you need to hear right now to make you feel hopeful and energized moving forward. So we're hoping for good messages always, of course, but we'll see what comes out. So Group 1, Group 2, and Group 3, take a moment to see which deck is calling you the most, and then you can find your reading in the time stamps in the description below. I will meet you at your reading. Group 1, this is your reading if you chose this pretty little crystal button. It would really pop on a sweater. I'm going to set that up here and then we're just going to get right into it. So we were taking a look at just whatever messages you need to hear. So let's just get into it. Starting off with the Death card, which is not as scary as it sounds, and the 7 of Wands. Oh. The 3 of Swords. That is too many cards. One at a time, please. Immediately I'm getting the energy that you are overcoming. If you're not quite there, you are about to be on the other side of something. On the other side of a struggle. Like it's giving hump day vibes, right? Like hump day, people are excited about it because then once you're past hump day, you're closer to the end of the week, closer to enjoyment, right? So we have, let me make sure we are, sorry, my setup is a little bit off today. So last out we have the Emperor. Let me soak in the vibes for a second. So I think what you need to hear right now has a lot to do with infusing your journey with childlike excitement, with there's a sense here that two truths can coexist. You can be sad over loss and heartache from the past, and you can be excited to move towards new. There's something where you have, I think you've been waiting something out for a very long time. I'm getting like this sense of like a desert, and the amount of time you've been waiting is really what kind of was like the twist of the knife. The amount of time and having to like be the only person to engage and re-engage your hopeful energy. And you still have it, which indicates you're very strong, you're very, and I don't think you get that a lot, actually. I think there's a elasticity to you. I'm hearing Sia, elastic heart. There's an elasticity to you, and a lot of times when we talk about someone being strong, we talk about them being tough and rigid, and they withstand. I think you feel things very deeply, very deeply. You're very considerate. You're very, like I think you're the kind of person that if you have some kind of conflict with someone, you consider both sides. Whether you're speaking to them or not, you're the kind of person that will go through, okay, where did I go wrong? Where did they go wrong? You're very, can't think of the word, but you're very that. Oh my God, the word is like on the tip of my tongue. I also feel that sometimes you might not have the ability to fully express how deeply you feel, so people aren't fully aware of it. You feel things very deeply, but you're also very controlled. And it's almost like you sense things, and it's like that there's no reason for me to try to put it into words, because no words can match how deeply I feel this. And so therefore, I think people mistakenly think that you're not that deep. But you are. You're very aware as well. And that, I mean, I'm getting definitely a lot of like empathy vibes, and that empathy kind of bleeds into everything you do. So even when you set boundaries, you're doing so with a lot of empathy, and it kind of hurts you to set boundaries with people. I'm getting again that elastic heart. Let's see what else comes out. I think because you feel so deeply, there's a lot of things that you deal with very much on your own. Because again, it's like either you can't fully put them into words, or putting them into words doesn't do it justice, or you, probably a combination of all three, you don't want to burden anyone else. I think people see you as like this more like light-hearted, fun energy. I'm getting like Gemini vibes, and I don't think people realize like how much you actually carry with you. We have the 8 of Wands with the 7 of Wands. There's very much a progression going from the 7 to the 8, right? Also from the 5 to the 7 to the 8. There's a progression that is leading you towards expansion. Yeah, we have the Chariot. You're becoming more... And see, that's the thing. Like, I think I was saying this earlier. You seem like a very controlled person, and yet I don't think you get a lot of praise for that. But you seem very controlled. But I think there's a difference in controlling yourself in a restrictive way and controlling yourself in an expansive way. And I think you're moving from restriction towards expansion. And we have the Temperance card. These are beautiful energies. And you know what? We have the Five of Cups at the bottom of the deck. These are kind of... This is exactly what I'm seeing. Like, I think this top row very much is kind of the front, the mask that you wear for people. And then below that we have a lot more of the energy that you put a lot of work into, which is tempering yourself. We have the Temperance card, tempering yourself. I think Spirit is working on something for you. This energy, I mean, even the fact that I'm saying a lot of things, like I said, that I think don't typically get noticed about you. And this is your confirmation that Spirit sees these things. They know. They know how much you've endured. They know how much you feel but are not able to express. And they don't like that you're feeling alone. Yeah, you're feeling alone. And so Spirit is working on something. I get this sense that Spirit is kind of like, you focus on moving forward, and we will focus on clearing the road. Especially with this Chariot, right? It's like you get in the car, make sure you have fuel, and we will make sure that the road is clear. Where are you going? That. Sometimes words just like pop in my head, right? During these readings. And right now it was, where are you going? That's one secret I never tell. That's from Gossip Girl. I don't know if Spirit doesn't want to tell you or what. It's probably different for a lot of people, but I definitely, when it comes to what you need to hear right now, it is that I was going to say your struggle, but it doesn't feel right. Your sensitivity, your awareness is noticed. The pain that it causes you and the isolation that it causes you is noticed. And there is a challenge here for you to use this to your benefit. There's some kind of like natural curiosity that you have, like an inherent curiosity that I think a lot of times has been kind of weaponized against you. Like people may have told you like, oh, you're never like focused enough, or you're too sensitive, or no, actually, again, I don't think people realize how sensitive you are. It's more so like attention. There might be something around like you not being able to focus your attention and people being really harsh on you because of that. And so because of that, you kind of like limited how much you, again, we're going back to control. You restricted what you shared with people, because when you shared everything that you were thinking, people were like, you're doing too much, right? And so you restricted yourself a lot. And so again, I'm getting strong Gemini energy. Again, this is about moving from restriction to empowerment, controlling your energy in a way that's not restricting, but directive. The Chariot wants you to direct your energy, and that doesn't mean that you can't do many things at once, because I do think that you're possibly multi-passionate. I think you're really skilled at a lot of things, and I think your curiosity takes you from one thing to another, and there's a lot of beauty that comes from that, a lot of wisdom that you gain from that, a lot of understanding of the human condition. And you might feel like right now you're having a hard time connecting with other people because people they're not connecting with the true you. When you go out, you restrict what you share with people, and so you feel like you're not connecting with people because they don't have access to what you want them to connect to. And so once you figure out how to really embrace the things that are really, I just sense that you have so many different things, you have so many different ideas, so many different passions, so many different hopes and aspirations, and I think you need to, I think you need to harness every one of them. I don't think you're supposed to restrict. You need to stop restricting yourself. Okay, I'm getting lost in this reading, so I need to move it along. And I mean, by saying lost, it's not that I don't know where I am. It's just that I get really into it, and then I just keep saying the same things. And then it's like I want to refine it more and more. And it's like just going deeper into the woods. That's what I mean by when I get lost. Actually, let me roll my astro dice right quick. I definitely feel like there. And again, I said it at the beginning that two truths can be valid at the same time. I think you're very hopeful, but I think you're also very sad. Yes. Okay, we have the 10th house, which is the house of career. We have Sagittarius, which is an energy that is very expansive and very much reaching for things, wanting to explore things, wanting to understand. And then we have the Sun energy. So you definitely are very driven by exploring things that you are capable of doing. 10th house is career, but it's also just your legacy and what you're really known for. And I think especially with this Emperor, you have a lot of potential to really do a lot of things. And it comes down to tempering how you move forward. I think, I understand where the struggle comes from, because it is like, you might want to look into multi-passionate people. That's like a term. Being multi-passionate is an actual thing. And people struggle a lot with it, because when you have so many things pulling you in different directions, a lot of times you just kind of sit still and not do anything. We have sweetness. Spirit is definitely asking you to be sweeter and kinder to yourself, and to really appreciate the way that you have, again, this natural like curiosity that you bring out into the world for other things. I think Spirit wants you to apply that to yourself, to your gifts, to your talents. And then we have Cave. Cave, I think, is speaking to coming out of that restriction and also really exploring things that you previously kept away from other people, kept hidden. Broken dreams. Only you can accept or reject your dreams. I think, look at, here's the desert I saw. I knew it. When I saw it in my mind earlier, I knew this card was going to come out. Moving forward, the first step is taken within our stillness. But what I want to say about this broken dreams is I think that you possibly, again, because we're talking about this restrictive energy that you've had, I think you possibly were kind of had like a path imagined in front of you. And then as you were trying to walk this path, you found it incredibly difficult to stay on the path. You kept getting distracted, going left and right and exploring. And I think that's the beauty of your journey. I think that's really what's, okay. Sorry, I'm getting very heated, first of all, but I'm also getting a very clear story. So imagine there is this path, and there's two people walking on it, you and another person. And then you are aware that there's a goal at the end of the path. And you start walking, and then you notice that other person's kind of walking a little bit faster, so you speed up. And then they're walking faster and faster. They get a little bit ahead of you, and then you notice a rose bush. And you're like, oh my God, that's a beautiful rose bush. I need to go smell that rose. You go smell the rose. You enjoy it. You pick a rose. And then you keep walking. And you notice that other person is like way ahead of you. And it starts to make you feel bad. You're like, damn it, I shouldn't have stopped. I should not have stopped at that rose bush. And you keep walking. And then you go by a pond, and there's a 4-leaf clover that you happen to notice. And you pick the 4-leaf clover, and you look up, and that person is even further ahead. And you're like, damn it, I should not have stopped at this pond. And then you keep walking, and you're like, okay, I need to speed up. Like, I can't. And then you see a sunflower, and you're like, oh my God, that's a gorgeous sunflower. I need to pick this sunflower. But sunflowers are really difficult to pick, so it takes you a while. And you finally get back on the path, and you notice that person is like way ahead of you. You can almost like not even see them anymore. And you feel so bad and so down on yourself. And so you actually kind of slow down. You're like not even sure like what's the point of going on this path anymore. And then along the way you find a daisy flower, and you're like, you pick this flower, and you're like, well, at least I have this daisy flower. And you're just like not as excited anymore, and you're feeling really lonely, and you're feeling really down on yourself, but you do keep walking on this path. Now imagine you get to the goal. And at the goal, there is a person, let's say it's this temperance angel. There is an angel, and you get there, and the angel says, congratulations, you made it. What did you bring me? And you're like, well, I have this rose, I have this 4-leaf clover, I have this daisy, and I have this beautiful sunflower. And the angel's like, that is amazing, thank you so much. And you look over, and that other person that got there like ages before you, they got there empty-handed. Because all they had in mind, all they had with them was their drive to reach the goal. And they reached the goal empty-handed. You, on the other hand, collected so many things along the road. And that was such a long-winded story, but I really felt compelled to share that. And it just made it up on the spot. And I actually think it's a beautiful story. So, I just want you to realize that you haven't wasted, you haven't lost, you haven't missed out. I think there's a lot of things that you are really skilled at and that you are really not giving yourself enough credit for. Wow, that story literally just came out of nowhere. Touch the sky. How beautiful is that? And rose garden. You picked the rose. Touch the sky. Touch the sky is about setting some lofty goals, but also, you know, letting your childish curiosity, your aspirations really lift you up. Okay, I think this was way longer than I wanted to let it get, but I hope that this made sense to you. And really what you need to hear right now is that there's so much that you are going to collect along your road that is really going to benefit you in the long run. And you don't recognize that right now. But you're going to. We have the Emperor, you're very powerful, you're going to, and you're going to be able to understand how to use the things that you've learned in the future. And even though in the past people may have told you, like, you need to focus down, you need to niche down, I think you're going to benefit a lot from the fact that you've taken a lot of detours. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for hanging out. I hope that this resonated, and I hope I get to read for you again sometime. Until then, take care. Hi, Group 2. This is your reading if you chose this brown button. I don't know what this is called, like a marbled button, maybe? Marbled makes sense. I'm going to put this right up here. And we're going to get right into your reading. This reading is about what you need to know right now, what you need to hear right now. And we're hoping for some uplifting messages, but whatever comes through, comes through. So for Group 2, what do you need to hear right now? We have the 4 of Coins. Oh, yep, that one wants out. We have the King of Wands. And they are completely crooked in the viewfinder. I'll fix them. These cards always move a lot, so we're just gonna have to put up with it. We have the Knight of Wands. I knew it. And we have the Artist. This card is specific to this deck. And I say I knew it because yes. Ooh, okay. You are definitely, this is the Artist. And before this card even came out, I already knew that we have an artist here. We have someone here that is being asked to creatively express themselves. You're holding back on something. You're holding back on a passion that you have. You're holding back on a talent that you have. And it just you can't contain it. You can't contain it. It bleeds into everything you do. It bleeds into everything you do, so why hold it back, right? So the 4 of Coins is this energy of being like, yes, I'm good at it, but I'm not perfect at it, so I'm gonna hold it back. I'm just gonna keep this to myself. But then we have the King of Wands that is like, okay, but I know I could do more, and I know that I could do this, and I know that I could do that. There's like this very grounded passion, this very rational passion of like, I don't think that this is a pipe dream. It's very much like, okay, this is a very realistic kind of, I almost want to say it's a realistic fantasy. although it doesn't feel like a fantasy at all, but you might experience it as such. Or people in the past may have told you, oh, like, it's so hard to make it as this or that, whether that is you trying to be a singer or songwriter, painter, any kind of artistry, really. You know, people are always like, oh, do something that's more makes more sense, that's more stable. Well, if you make it stable. Anyways, then we go to the Knight of Wands, and the Knight of Wands is like, you get this push to be less grounded and more daring. You get this push to be like, I'm just gonna, you know what? I've been thinking about this for a long time. I just have to do it. It's now or never. I just got to do it. And then that pushes you into a very creative episode almost. And then we have the Eight of Coins at the bottom of the deck. Really, you trying something out and really working on your mastery, on kind of, you might actually be able to come up with something that really gathers a lot of attention, and then people will ask you to do that thing again. And we want another one like that. Like, you know how some people get famous for one, I don't know, like one product, and then they keep having to make that. So you want to be careful that you don't kind of like niche yourself in. But I do see so much creative energy here. So much creative as in inventive, but also creative as in creating. Like, you're not just thinking about it, you are motivated to do it, and you got that spark. And this hesitation of holding back, I think it's not gonna, I think you've probably had that for a long time, but you're getting to a point where that's not, it can't be contained anymore. So let's get some more cards and see what else comes out. Also, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, I'm not a creative person, yes you are. Everyone's creative. Everyone has the capacity to be creative, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be a painter or you have to make music. There are lots of ways in which you can display creativity, whether that is through cooking. There are people that are creative with Excel sheets. Like, you can be creative in the most, what people typically wouldn't call creative ways. So you can, there's just a sense of not limiting yourself just because you were told by a book in school what art is and what art isn't. So don't limit yourself, because whatever you decide is art, that's art. That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. It's completely in your hands. And you can create artistry in everything you do. Okay, we have the Hermit and we have the Six of Wands. This is such beautiful energy. Okay, so the Four of Coins with the Hermit is exactly that. You held back, but I'm here to tell you, you might have been kind of hard on yourself because you were holding back. You might have been like, I never share my artwork with anyone. I never share this talent I have with anyone because nobody would understand it, or it's not popular, blah, blah. But keeping it for yourself actually did refine something about it. There's something that's truly meaningful about it because you developed this in absence of judgment. So I think it is very important to create things. I'm trying to find a way to say this. I think it's very important to experience creating things within a group where you get criticized in like a professional manner, because it opens you up to new viewpoints. But I think it's equally important to create and have a phase of creation where nobody but you has access to your process, because it allows you to really get in touch with, okay, what is my viewpoint? What is my talent? What is my contribution? And this way, when you then step into a room where people look at your art and criticize it, again, not criticizing in a negative way, it doesn't always have to be negative. There can be positive critiques, right? So that when somebody critiques your art, you are able to understand what actually is true and really reflected in your art, and what is something that your audience is picking up on that you didn't calculate for. And again, art is a very broad term. This can apply to so many different things. So again, I think it's important to kind of develop something on your own in absence of audience, but then it's also important to go out there and present it to an audience so that you can get feedback that then allows you to really expand on your viewpoint. And this is really reflected here with the Six of Wands. Once you do, because you've been very rational in planning things out and very grounded, whatever you take on, whatever you're trying to establish, I think it's going to go very well. Look at this horse. My goodness, that's a gorgeous horse. And look at the horse is just, the hair is just as gorgeous as on that guy. I don't know why that stood out to me so much right now, but there's definitely something here about you working on something and it's going to have a profound impact on people. And again, I feel so called to say this. Even if you think, oh, this isn't anything, or oh, a million different people have done this before, that doesn't matter. You're doing it with your signature, with your essence, with your energetic frequency attached, and that makes a huge difference, because you, I think, are very driven by passion and very driven by expressing yourself. But I think you also, I wouldn't generally say that the wand suits are humble, but there's something about this energy coming out before it that really brings like a very grounded drive to the whole situation. I am super talkative today in these readings. I'm really enjoying the energies. This is beautiful. Okay, let's just take a moment. Okay, first of all, the Ten of Coins is popping up at the bottom of the deck, but we still have another card to pull, right? Let's take a moment to look at this transition. The King of Wands to the Six of Wands, and then we went from the King to the Knight. But remember I said that this was very grounded, but also kind of removed energy, whereas the Knight was like, okay, screw it, I gotta do it now. It's now or never. And that energy of actually making the leap and actually being proactive in your art is what's gonna level you up. Look at the Empress. And the Empress is pure creation. This is beautiful energy. This whole reading is about you giving birth to something, and it's beautiful. This is literally like the gestational period of like kind of bonding with the creation, and then being like, okay, I'm ready, and then doing it, and then really birthing something that is really meaningful because you took your time with it. And the fact that you need to hear this right now, look at this. Oh my God, these energies are beautiful. And we still have the Ten of Coins at the bottom of the deck. This is a beautiful reading. And I'm here to tell you that if you don't do the damn thing, nobody else is going to do it for you. This is a beautiful reading. We have the Artist with the Queen of Cups. This is exactly what I just said. This creation that you are birthing is deeply meaningful because of the process that you went through. And because it's deeply meaningful, it will resonate with people on a deep level. And because of that, it will bring you in success. I want to say again, because I know I can hear it, I can literally hear you saying, I don't have any artistic talent. Free your mind. Free your mind. Art is not what they teach you in school. You can create art in your photos you take of your children. You can create art in the way that you walk in the street. There's literally like the most mundane things you can bring creativity and artistry into. Don't be limited by the word art. There is definitely something that you are able to contribute that people will really resonate with, and it's really meaningful to you. Especially because I'm looking at this flower. It might have to do with flower arrangements, especially with these wands too. Somebody here is definitely working with flower arrangements. There's just something where you've been holding out. You've been holding out, and it's just not gonna let you get away any longer, because people are really going to resonate with whatever it is that you're creating, and you can't contain it. It's like it's outgrowing you. That's like, you can't contain, because we're talking about creation, yeah? Creating something. Imagine if you were literally pregnant. At some point, you have to give birth. The baby is going to outgrow the womb, and it's gonna want to come out. That's this process. You're giving birth to something, and it's extremely meaningful. And I understand the fears that come with that, of letting go and letting your baby step into the light of the world. But it's beautiful. It's beautiful and meaningful. Wow. I love these energies. This is such a beautiful reading. Honestly, I think everyone should be getting this reading. The energies we have from the Astro Dice are the 12th house. We have Libra. Boop, 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 boop. It doesn't want to focus. That's okay. And then we have Venus. Libra is ruled by Venus. So these are both beautiful energies. And you know what Venus rules? Art. The Empress is definitely, both the Empress and the Queen of Cups are very much like Libra and Venus energies. I could see that. Because they're about beauty and creating beauty and seeing beauty and expanding on beauty. And the 12th house is all about the unseen. It is our subconscious. It is our the things that we hold in darkness. But our subconscious will always find a way to bubble up. So there's something that's been, again, growing in the dark, but it's beautiful. Usually the things that we have in the 12th house are complex, complicated, and they can still definitely be beautiful, but it's like they're beautiful in a painful way. And I mean that like when you see a beautiful painting and you're like, wow, this is really emotionally impactful, and it's beautiful, but it also kind of just makes you sad, that kind of thing. Like things, but again, this is something that's coming from deep within you. And I think that's why you've been hesitant in the past, because there's a lot of vulnerability that comes with shedding light onto your 12th house. But I think there's something here that's just so genuine and so... It's really, I just keep hearing like it's beautifully dark. There's like just this really dark beauty that I think a lot of people can strongly identify with. But that applies to some of you. Overall, again, I think there's a lot of potential for really bringing a lot of the beauty that you hold in private into whatever you're doing in public. Okay, let's pull some oracle cards. This is a beautiful reading, and I hope that you, because this is very much about what you need to hear right now, I know you're creating. I just don't think you're giving yourself the recognition. And so that's what you really need to hear right now, is that what you're working on has incredible potential. Adorn. You're not giving yourself the recognition. You should adorn the things that you're creating. And wonder. Wonder is definitely working together with this Knight of Wands, and it's about really exploring, like, how far can I go? How much more can I lean into my creativity? What are aspects of it that I haven't explored yet? It's really like about taking something inside of yourself and bringing it out. That's why I keep saying it's about birthing something, right? This is beautiful energy, and I would love to see what you're creating. I don't know why I sang that. I am not a singer. Circles. Clarity begins in the eye of the storm. Look at that. And I was just about to point out, like, there's these women forming a circle, and then at the bottom of the deck we have another group of women forming a circle. Women supporting women. Together we can transcend our individual limitations. And especially because we have a lot of divine feminine energy here. We have the Empress and we have the Queen of Cups, very nurturing energies. This is definitely about birthing something, bringing something into the light. And circles is really there might be a connection here in your art, in whatever you do and whatever you create, with your ancestry, or with your divine feminine energy that is passed along throughout your ancestry. But also clarity begins in the eye of the storm. You know what I feel? Because we have the Six of Wands, I think once you really like put your art out there, again, I think you're going to be pretty successful. And I think you know it. And because of that, that's part of the reason why you've been holding back, because it's kind of intimidating. It's intimidating to think of, it's like you can almost sense all this energy of success coming. And clarity begins in the eye of the storm. I think you're going to reach a lot of clarity when you're in it. And that's what I was talking about earlier, how there's one, like, creating in absence of an audience is one frequency, and creating within an audience is a whole different frequency. And it's going to show you your limitations, but also where you are able to grow. And I think once you put yourself into that circle, into the middle of the circle, notice the horse and the person with the long hair on the horse is now white. It's going to bring you a lot of wisdom. It's going to bring you a lot of insight. But it is intimidating. Let's get one more oracle card, and then we're going to close this out. We have Rose Garden. That is a beautiful energy. And Red Garden. Interesting. Rose Garden and Red Garden at the bottom of the deck. Think about how coveted certain rose types are, and yet how how finicky they can be, you know, and the fact that they have thorns. There's like this aspect of solitude, because usually when you see a rose bush, there's the buds are often like far apart from one another, especially with like the traditional red rose, right? So there is like this aspect of like, no, let me grow on my own and I'll bloom when I'm ready. And I think you're ready. Once that bud opens up, it just, you've seen those videos, those time-lapse videos where it's like it pushes, and then completely opens up. And you see that here in this card as well with the butterfly and the caterpillar. Once you're ready, you're ready. And I think you're almost ready. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I think you are a beautifully creative soul, and I would love to know what you create, because I'm deeply fascinated. And then also, I hope I get to read for you again sometime, and until then, take care. Hi Group 3, this is your reading if you chose this little pearly button. I was so mesmerized by it, I got distracted. Cute little pearly button. We're gonna get right into it. The messages have been beautiful so far, so I'm expecting no less from yours. We are looking at what you need to hear right now, what you need to know right now, and we are going for uplifting and motivational. So let's see, for Group 3, what do they need to know right now? For Group 3. Ooh. Right away we have the Fool and we have the Seven of Cups, so possibly a fresh start that's feeling a little bit overwhelming. Moving on from something. And I almost feel like I'm hearing a song. I'm hearing The World Is Yours by Nas. The world is yours. Also now, the world is your oyster. Look at that, the Nine of Coins at the bottom of the deck. I feel that you have made a decision in the recent past. I'm not really getting a lot on that decision, but I am getting that it's taken you in a new direction. And it's taken you in a new direction where your possibilities are nearly endless. And Spirit is really kind of saying, like, where do you want to go? This feels very open-ended. This feels very much like, I'm getting a very specific vibe, but I'm not sure I'm going to be able to pinpoint it because it's been years since I watched these movies. But I think it might be at the end of the first Pirates movie, like the Pirates of the Caribbean. Like they got the ship back. I don't know. It's so specific because I can only see, it's like, where do we go now? The ocean is ours. Where do we go? It's like they got the ship back, and like Jack has his ship back, and it's like, okay, where do you want to go? I might be getting that storyline wrong, but that's the vibe I'm getting, especially with this boat, right? It's like, okay, okay, let's let's get serious with this. I'm feeling that as you are moving into a new chapter, I think you're still you still have like an aftertaste in your mouth from previous lessons, which is fine. That's important. You don't want to just go through the lesson and then leave it all where you found it, right? Because you want to take the wisdom from what you've learned, the experiences you've gained with you, so that you move forward more educated and more aware. But I do feel that there is some aftertaste that is actually kind of clouding your decision-making process. I'm gonna have to pull some more cards to see if that's coming through any stronger than that, because that was kind of it on it. But there is definitely something where you're setting sail towards something that is going to bring you a lot of excitement. Let's get some more cards. We have the Queen of Swords. That was the decision that you made, and I think it was, like I said, it wasn't necessarily I don't really feel that it was like the hardest decision, but it also wasn't the easiest. But you did what you had to do. Kind of that kind of vibe. What about the Seven of Cups? That is too many cards. We will take a look at it as a sideline story, but I have the Chariot, the Eight of Wands, and the Four of Wands. The decision that you made in the past was to move towards something that was going to bring you more stability, because you had there was a lot of different expectations that you had, and I think you had a hard time kind of settling them. There was something that you pursued, and honestly, I'm kind of getting a very strong, and I got this earlier already, I'm kind of getting a strong energy of possibly somebody dropping out of college. Or, at the very least, dropping out of your major and now being unsure. You might be taking a gap year, anything like that. If it's not college, you might be quitting a job that you had and are now trying to figure out your possibilities. But there's something in the past where you moved, you were like on a track towards a certain goal, and there were a lot of different expectations that you had and expectations that were set upon you, and you realized that you wanted to simplify that. You wanted to bring some simplicity into your life, that it was really kind of asking too much. And it's funny because it feels like you wanted to bring some simplicity to your life, and yet now you find yourself being overwhelmed with options. So it's like you try to simplify, and it's like, okay, but I'm also getting this vibe now when imagine there's an apartment. Imagine you have an apartment and you try to go for a minimalist look, which means that you have very few decorative items in your apartment. But then it's almost like, okay, when you have very few items, then you have to be very selective about what you do decorate with. And let's say you choose one, or you're trying to choose one framed picture, and then you have all these walls, and it's like, okay, on which wall do I put it on? I know I want to simplify, right? I don't want to have 5 million pictures on the wall, which I don't understand why anyone wouldn't want that, because I definitely do that. But let's say, for whatever reason, you want to simplify and you want just one picture on your wall. And now you have so many walls to choose from. It's like, where do you put it, right? That's kind of the vibe I'm getting. What about the Seven of Cups? One card, please. Yep, it's literally the choice. It's literally about choosing. The Two of Wands. And I always find it interesting that in this deck, the Two of Wands includes another person that we cannot see, which I think means that there might have been other external factors that in the past have influenced your decision, which is again why I feel like this may pertain to college. If you are younger, this may have been the influence of a parent or your family in any way, guiding you towards, hey, you should study this because, you know, stability, because money, because your father or your mother is in the same career. Something like that. Yeah, but you are done. Whatever you're moving on from, you're like, nope, I'm done, and I don't care about whatever expectations someone else had in me pursuing this path. I'm done with that. And Spirit is saying, yeah, good for you. They're saying, this literally seems like, rock on, dude. Rock on. I don't know why. But it's very much like, yes, you need to be in control of your, yes, absolutely, the King of Cups. This is very much like you need to be in control of your life, because you cannot attain happiness, emotional fulfillment, unless you are in control. And even if you don't know which cup you're going to find that fulfillment in, as long as you're the one making the choices, you're going to get there eventually. If someone else makes those choices for you, your chances of finding that fulfillment are like so much smaller. Sorry, I got distracted because there's a squirrel outside my window and he is staring at me. Like, he is staring into my soul. I don't know what he wants. But that squirrel energy might be something that you can identify with. You know, chasing after like collecting nuts, and then at the end of the day being like, what did I even gain from collecting all of those? I just hid them somewhere. What did I gain from that in the moment now? I'm sorry, Mr. Squirrel, I'm not judging you. He's very concerned. He's really just staring at me. I'm trying to see if I can get a picture. But my windows are very old and it's hard to get pictures through them. And now he ran off. Anyways, sorry. I really didn't mean to get distracted by a squirrel. That's so cliche. But getting back to the reading, we have the 5 of coins at the bottom of the deck, which is like, you might feel tempted to feel like along this journey, because you're choosing new, it is a little bit overwhelming. And at some point in time, you might feel tempted to be like, I did the wrong thing. And even go back to some kind of parental figure and be like, Mom, Dad, I did the wrong thing. But I want to reiterate, as long as you are doing what feels right to you, your chances of reaching emotional fulfillment are infinitely higher than if you were to just blindly follow the instructions of someone else. And let me say this, let's say you're taking a gap year, right? Let's say you followed a career or you followed a major because you were somehow influenced to do so. And then you start off, you don't like it, you make the decision, I need to find something else, I don't know what it is, but I need to go out in the world and figure it out, and I need to really get to know myself, so I'm taking a gap year, or I'm taking a year to be unemployed. If you're in a privileged position to do that, perhaps you're gonna spend a year working for yourself, trying to start your own business, something that's really meaningful to you. And you might at some point be like, I think I messed up, like this wasn't what I was supposed to do. I think I'm just gonna go back to what I was doing before. But then you tried it, right? You tried whatever you were meant to try, and you get to go back, and when you go back, it's your decision. And you won't forever wonder, what if I had tried something else? You decide to go back, and again, as long as your choices are made by you, you're infinitely more capable of reaching fulfillment. That was a very powerful message. Let's get some astro dice. We have the 7th house, we have Mercury, and we have Virgo. Interesting. This is very much, 7th house is about relationships. It is often like your partnerships. So this can be marriage, but this can also be business partnerships. It is really about where you intersect with people in the world. And the 7th house really, in this case, indicates, especially with Mercury and Virgo, to me indicates that you have been influenced in your thought patterns and expectations by other people. You have set expectations in yourself and your path based on things that other people have expressed. Absolutely. And I think there is this time of a clearing out. The 6 of Swords and this 5 of Swords, to me, indicates that you're going to be clearing out by distancing yourself and by really kind of exploring more of your own passion and what you want to do. You're going to be able to dissect with that Virgo energy and that Mercury energy. Virgo is ruled by Mercury. You're going to be able to dissect, okay, what is an expectation that I hold on to that was given to me by someone else, and what is my own expectation? And then why do I have that expectation? Is that because that's something I really desire, or is that something that I was conditioned to believe I desire? Very deep, very deep. Let's get some oracle cards. We have dive in. I just had a pain in my neck. Dive in this sense is very much about like figuring out exactly what I just talked about. Like where are you motivated by transparent, saying exactly the same thing. Where are you motivated by your own drives and your own needs, and where are your drives and needs tainted by other people? Being transparent and really acknowledging, like, where have you been influenced, and This is very much a phase, and that's why I keep referencing college, because this phase, and it doesn't have to be, but I'm feeling very much like adolescence energy from this. So like your 20s, where it's like, okay, you've already learned a lot of things, but there's still a whole new world of lessons for you to learn. There's still a lot to explore that you thought you had figured out, where you just are becoming more of your own person. Let's see what's under this 5. Yeah, I think you're holding on to a lot of expectations of other people. Radical self-love. We can only receive love to the extent that we unconditionally love and live the truth of ourselves. Forgiveness at the bottom of the deck. I think this is really speaking more to you exploring who you really are and not doing so in a critical way. Especially with this Virgo energy, it can be very, and with these swords too, I feel like you were probably pressured into a certain direction by, again, either family or outside circumstances. Like at some point when you chose a certain career or direction, you might not have had any other choice. There are really very real perimeters that force us to make choices in a certain way to keep ourselves safe, to make sure that we have our bills paid, that we have everything that we need to survive, right? And you may have gotten to a point where you're like, okay, I'm past survival mode. I'm in a place in my life now where I can make more active choices. I don't just have to take the job that I am offered. I get to choose. And so this is really about spending some time with yourself and understanding what it is that you would choose if the world was your oyster, because it is. And what you would choose if it's really just up to you, not to your outside circumstances, not to your family or your partner or anything like that, and not to your business partner either. If it's just up to you, what would you choose? Which also includes understanding that your choice is a priority. Because you might have been conditioned to prioritize other people's opinions, you need to understand that your opinion and your choices are a priority. We have Lorelei and Moon Dance at the bottom of the deck. Lorelei is about, it's funny because it goes well with the Six of Swords, because it is about like demanding some distance, demanding some respect, because it's like, I have power, I hold power. And it's very much about creativity and being able to envision which way your life could go. And you know what's really fascinating is that this Seven of Cups has this dragon, and then here's this mermaid, which are both like very fictional creatures, right? I'm not trying to start an argument here, but I think for the most part they're very fictional creatures. So bringing some imagination into your path. I think Spirit really wants you to dream bigger. Okay, so what it really comes down to, what you need to hear right now is that I think you have already made a choice in the past, and I will tell you, whether you go back to what you strayed from or not, you made the right choice because it was your choice. And this is really what this whole reading is about. You being empowered to make your own choices, because that's what's going to feel the best to you in the future. Looking back, you're going to be like, I chose my path. I didn't just follow the path that was handed to me. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. That was a beautiful reading, and I hope that it was helpful. I hope it was interesting. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope I get to read for you again sometime, and until then, take care.